Not anymore. We're live. Hello, Crystal. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Joe?
I'm good. We were just mentioning that we had planned to do a hangout about 2.5 months ago. And then, I don't know, we got crazy busy and here we are and it's almost December. So that's it.
Better late than never.
Exactly. It means we probably have more stuff to talk about. So there we are.
That's true. So what's going on with you, Joe?
Well, I've been having a lot of fun flitting between high school and middle school and kind of relearning the lower grade levels again. It's been, and I've been doing junior high, middle school cross country for quite a long time, but not having taught middle school PE for about 11 years now. So
wow.
that's been fun. I mean, they're awesome, but it's very different. And the middle school where we are has got one gym, and the time that I'm there in the afternoon, there's 3 classes in a small space. So, 90 something plus kids in a small space is interesting, but it's been fun. I mean, I'm very thankful for them, and they stretch you to think of new ways to do things, because things that aren't issues at high school levels are at middle school level, and you will know this, like keeping hands to yourself and those sorts of things. So it's been a lot of fun. So yeah.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Yes. I have been at middle school for 24 years, so yeah, it's always the same. But great. I love middle school. That's my area. So.
It's quite funny. I should make a chart actually of differences between middle schoolers and high schoolers, just in what I've seen so far. And one of them would be, in the high school, they come in, they're like, "Oh, we're going to run today," and you say yes, and they're like, "Oh." At the middle school, they come in and say, "Are we going to run today?" and you say no, and they go, "Oh." It's just completely flipped. They're like, they just, and it's beautiful to see that they like, we need to move. And it's like, yeah, I bet you need to move. You've been sitting all day. So that's kind of cool. Their enthusiasm is contagious.
It is. That's what's great about middle schoolers. I mean, they're still, sometimes they'll still listen to you, and they have that enthusiasm, and they really, they want to move. Yeah. It really tests your, ability to give directions in a precise manner, because they don't want a lot. They want.
Yes, that is true. I know. And I wanted to, again, given the space we have and wanting to get instant activities going, we're trying to try some things that I've used at high school that have worked well, and had to see if they work well as well at the middle school level, but it's also forced me to think of some new things. So, again, I want those kids who are in straight away, change straight away, want to move straight away. I want to get them going and with content. And I was determined not to have them sitting in roll call lines. I'm like, it's not going to happen. I want you here. I want you moving. And I really want to minimize, like you said, all that instruction, that direct instruction time, when and I know that, half of them are going to be woo, and you've only got a really finite amount of time to get your point across. Otherwise, it's gone. So
that is true.
Yeah.
I use pedometers and use pedometers and then look to see if their number's there. A lot of times they forget, but then they're off and going.
We haven't had the pedometers out yet. We will be. But what I've done is I have a little check-in card for each of them. So they come in and so this is the card. They'll see their name on it. And there's like 6 kids on each card. And I've got markers out there. And they just come in, put a check mark, and then get on with their warm-up. So, and that's worked pretty well. But you're right. Same with the pedometers. I'm looking for those ones who I haven't seen or they haven't checked in. It's like, no, come and check in. And they're really good. Most of the time, it's not they don't want to. It's just that they've totally and utterly forgotten to do that. So they're pretty good. And it's good then, because then you can just get on and start chatting with them and get involved with what they're doing for their warm up, and not worry about, okay, everyone sit down in straight lines and I can't do that.
I can't do that either. But gym to line uh, from Texas. Gave me a really cool thing. I think it was last year. His words. I call them my 6 superstar words. And he taught me like to use those right at the beginning of the year, and it has saved me. And I told Jim that when I saw him at the National PE Institute. So I have 6 words. I think he has 10.
Okay.
And so they all know, like we have a big letter H in the middle of the gym, and we're Hortonville. So all I have to do is say Hortonville and blow my whistle. They know I have to blow my whistle once, and then I say Hortonville or one of the 6 words. They go do it, and I told you, it has saved my life because these 6 words: huddle up. They know that means instruction time for a couple seconds. Whiteboard. If I use a big whiteboard or a small whiteboard, they have to find me wherever I am. If I say whiteboard, I'm drawing something on the whiteboard just for a second, and then they're going back out there. And this year I put in a new one called perimeter. So if I say perimeter, then they just start, and then I hold up on the whiteboard like jog or gallop or, a word, or do squats, lunges. I hold up a word.
Yeah.
The little whiteboard has been awesome this year. So I write the word on there and I say perimeter, and then they just start doing that if we need a little extra, getting the energy off before we do whatever we're trying to accomplish.
That's neat.
It's great from Jim DeLine. He's the one that shared that with me. So
good tip. I'll have to remember that one. I was trying to do something similar, and it was something I got from Maria Cortez at Best Practices this summer. Okay. And this is when we were outside, and again, you want quick attention. You want to get them moving on to whatever that next piece is. And it was basically whenever you heard a whistle or whatever command it was, if it was a word you were using, then straight away everyone has to, eyes on you, boom, and get in this kind of like a ready position. And when we were outside working on some of our ball skills, that worked really, really well. They're like, boom, like, all right, we got this. We're getting quicker. And again, it was a really quick way to get their attention and get them ready for the next, piece of instruction. The other thing I've been doing, and this is one of the, again, instant ones. And again, it's the simplest things that are the most effective. I did post this on Twitter, but I was warm up. So I just basically pulled off a whole bunch of different, and I'll post a link to this later, a whole bunch of different activities, one for each letter. And then depending on what it is that we're doing, I just match the content. So when we were doing golf, I had golf terms. So they would spell the golf term for their warm-up, or 2 or 3 of them, depending on how long they were. They'd do their warm-up. And then we could discuss, okay, well, what does 4 mean? And what is a bogey? What is a birdie? We're on Adventure Ed right now. So we've been doing, challenge by choice, one step beyond, just simple phrases. And then they're thinking, oh, okay, what is this? And the other nice thing is it's different every single time. So they're learning the exercises and they're putting them together. And so that one's been great. In fact, the reason why I've got this with me right now is because I took it from the middle school. I'm like, I haven't done this with my high schoolers yet. So they're going to be seeing this tomorrow. So, which will be nice. But simple stuff. So we've got Jim DeLine's words, spell it warm-ups, easy ways to get things going.
Oh, yes.
Sweet. Hey, do you want to tell everybody about your amazing grant that you've got? Because I haven't heard a whole lot about this either, but I was like, whoa.
Wow. Well, we've been doing Feel Up to Play 60. We had a teacher come from one of our mutual friends, Sandy Hagebuck, in De Pere. She taught with Sandy. Her name was Tara Bowers. Now she's married, Tara Van Caster, and she came to our school and said, I've done Feel Up to Play 60. That was 4 years ago. I've done Feel Up to Play 60. I'd really like our whole district, we're small, so that's 6 schools. Our whole district to do Feel Up to Play 60. And we're like, sounds great. So we've been doing it for 4 years, and we've all been doing different things with it. And then this summer we went to Lambeau Field in August 19th, and we wanted to have a meeting with our whole staff of program advisors, and we were sitting in chairs at Lambeau Field, and this Karen Doster, who's our Fuel Up to Play 60 rep, and then this other woman I didn't know, but she's the head of Wisconsin Milk Marketing Board, and she said, "Hello, Hortonville." We're like, "Hello," and she said, "We got exciting news for you." We went, "What?" She goes, "We have selected you as the hometown grant winner." We're like, "What? We didn't apply for that." And they go, "You don't apply." And we pick one school from each state, from the state of Wisconsin, and we won. And we're just like, "Wow, are you kidding me?" And we went, because you know, and as my friend and a lot of my friends know, that I'm hard of hearing, that wear hearing aids. And at first I thought she said 50,000 what? $50,000. And they're like, "No, Crystal, 15. That's good too." So it comes down, each of our schools, we get $2,500 to spend on equipment, but it has to be specified, which I love. It has to deal with improving fitness levels of kids. So it can't be just, "Oh, I want to buy a ball." You have to tell why. This is what I like about it. Why are you purchasing these? Right. And how is it going to improve the 60 minutes of exercise and getting kids involved? And so that's what I like. So let's see, today, November 17th, then part of this grant is for us, 5 Green Bay Packers come on a bus, just like on the Packer game, the football games. And we got to pick out of the hat I have 15 kids on my Fuel Up to Play 60 team. And each one of our schools have 12 to 15 kids. Mm-hmm. And so we got to pick 2 kids' names out of a hat, a boy and a girl, and they got to ride on the bus with the Packer players.
Oh, oh wow.
Oh, wow. So these kids are beyond excited. And so they got to get in the bus, and then the other kids on the team, then we got to make a line and high five. And the Packer players, they pick players who like kids, who like movement, and are giving the message, high quality 60 minutes. And the Packers that they picked were so fabulous.
Oh, that's what back.
Wow. Morgan Burnett, and the funniest the one, Mike Pinnell, he was amazing they were all amazing with the kids, like wanted to know what they do, how do they exercise, and then we did a training camp with them.
Oh wow.
So we got to spend 45 minutes each going to different stations that we came up with, and then the Packer players and then high school kids from Tara Van Caster's class also helped. And then the kids went through these stations, and we were going to have a milk carton that they balanced on their head, but that just didn't quite work. So then we used a little cone. So one of the kids in my Fuel Up to Play 60, she's like, "You should do it," to J. Rod Elliott. So he's putting this little cone on his head, and they were just fabulous. And anybody, if whatever team you're a fan of, to have as a 12 and 13-year-old kid.
Oh, I mean,
to spend an afternoon with your idols. And the kids on my team this year, I have had a lot of new kids on my team. And I just put it out there, and I didn't say anything about this Packer trip or anything. And they all volunteered to be on it before they knew. Because they had to fill out a paper. Why do you want to be on Fuel Up to Play 60? What are your ideas? And then I told them at our first meeting what was going to happen. And so then we didn't know. The players signed these little mini Packer football helmets, and then they picked kids' names out, and one of the kids on my team won. Oh my gosh. Oh. Just to see these kids' faces and to be exercising with, Green Bay Packer players, and to know what the money's going for. Oh my gosh.
That's just huge. Wow. I've been lucky to meet some people that I look up to sports-wise, and I'm like, ah. And I'm, a grown adult, and I'm still like super excited to meet them. So I can't even imagine what it must be like to meet some of your sporting heroes when you're that age. I mean, wow, that's just
Yeah. It was an awesome day, and like I said, we're gonna get the new Fit Step pedometers that download right on the computer.
Oh, the new Bluetooth ones that you don't even have to put them in a docking station?
Right. And because all of my kids were doing the 100-mile club.
Okay.
And it is caught fire at our school. And all the kids want to check out pedometers. And so I said, well, when we order the new ones, we've got 60 and they cannot wait. Last weekend, I had 4 kids beg me to check out pedometers. I'm like, I have died and gone to heaven. And they wore them for their basketball tournaments and came back, and they each went like 12 miles during the weekend, play basketball.
So they can check them out over the weekend?
Yeah, well, that's our goal now. When we get the new pedometers, our old ones, we will have to check out for a week.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Because for the 100-mile club, you can do it where you get a certificate, or you can do it with my Fuel Up to Play 60 money. I am doing it where the kids get a t-shirt and a medal and a wristband, and that's $10. So I had enough money to do 45 kids. So those 45 students get the t-shirt, but everybody gets a certificate. And then I thought, because then the Packers each gave each one of us an extra mini helmet that they signed. And so then all the kids that do 100 miles by spring break are going into the drawing, and one of those kids is going to win the mini Packer football helmet for doing 100 miles.
That's so neat.
I'm so excited. So they are pumped to get their 100 miles.
So basically, if you hadn't done Fuel Up to Play 60 in the first place, none of this would have happened, right?
That's right, because we had no clue that they were going to pick us for this. And wow, to get $2,500 that we can spend.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Wow. So
huge.
Awesome.
That's super exciting. I don't know how I can follow that.
Oh, you can. It's just a once in a lifetime. And it was, like I said, the Packer players that came and the people from the Wisconsin Milk Marketing Board were just so great to the kids. They weren't just like, and they told all the people that run it, said, no selfies, no autographs. And so we had all the kids, nobody brought their devices. And then the Packers at the end, they're like, hey, nobody asked us for selfie. You want a selfie? And then they were getting their phones out and taking pictures. And we're on the Packer website. So check it out, the greenbaypackers.com. You'll see all my kids on there. So it was awesome.
Sweet.
I know.
Well, what else have I been doing? Well, I've been having a lot of fun with PVC. I've been spending quite a lot of time in Menards and Home Depot making things. And this is thanks to Penny Kronig. I popped into her session. When you walk past a session and then you see things, you're like, ooh, what's happening in here? And she had in her session, and oh my goodness, I've forgotten the name of her colleague, but they had some phenomenal stations, and a lot of it, they're creative. And she was telling me that she's like, I look for old stuff that's been thrown out all over the place and think about how I can repurpose it and use it for PE. And she had some just really, really neat things that students could use for. You could have applied it to, I don't know how many different grade level outcomes depending on what you were doing and where you were going. But she had, we've been playing, in my backyard Olympics unit, disc bonk, which is, you've got a stand of some description with a ball or something on top of it. And the goal is to knock that ball off. I play a couple of different versions, a more sedentary one and then a cardio one where, it's like a bit of an ultimate frisbee, and the goal is to use the frisbee to knock the object off. And there's kind of a safe zone around the stand. But I'd kind of been using some badminton standards inside, but I couldn't take them outside, and I was trying to find something to use outside. So she had these posts that they'd made out of PVC. So I went shopping to Menards, and I think it took me about half an hour to make $60, just over $60 to make 6 of them. So now I've got indoors, outdoors, and I've also realized the bases of them, and I'll put the dimensions on with the show notes, because it was so easy to make. The bases I can now, if I replace the big tall pole and I put a shorter one in there, I can use them, like put baskets on them and use them for water polo. And I'm like, ooh. So yeah, and I've got a whole new way of walking into hardware shops now and thinking, what can I use this for in PE? So I've been messing around with that a bit. And
awesome.
The other thing I've been doing was, well, you know how, I mean, working a lot, I know you've been ongoing this for a long time as well, with, you know, standards-based grading, unpacking standards, and trying to look at, keep focusing on backwards by design. So you're always looking, what's the goal for my curriculum or my unit, my grade level, and then working back to the final point where you determine what activities you're going to use to get there. So we've been doing that, but I know one of the problems people often have is, it's like, well, what if a student hasn't got there and that unit or that idea or that concept is done? It's like, you know, okay, you're not doing canoeing anymore, you're not doing skiing anymore because there's no snow. And it's like, okay, and that can cause problems. But I came up with a way to kind of get around it, because I mean, my feeling is you can fit content to almost anything. It's just a case of being creative. So here's an example. We done our canoeing, and throughout my outdoor adventure class, the whole theme is it's very much standard 4. So it's, you know, safe and responsible behavior in the outdoor environment. So whether you're on the water, you know, what plans have you put into place ahead of time? You know, how do you paddle safely? How do you, if you capsize, you know, what do you do if you're by yourself, if there's someone else nearby, if it's shallow water, deep water, all those sorts of things. We went geocaching. We ended up going on a field trip to Red Mountain, and the students, again, they had to plan everything. They had to plan their route. They had to plan their timing. They had to plan for how much hydration they'd need based on the weather forecast and the terrain we were going to be on, the time we were going to be out there. So all those kind of planning things. But I had my canoeing students do a float plan ahead of when we went to one of our little field trips, which is basically, you know, if heaven forbid something was to go wrong and you didn't go home when you were supposed to go home and someone's looking for you, it would be something that you could hand to a Coast Guard and say, this is the information they gave me about where they were going and what they're supposed, you know, when they were supposed to be back and what their boat looks like, so that the Coast Guards or whoever, the emergency services, where they'd have an idea of where to look for you. But we were done with this. I'm thinking, and I realized, you know, a lot of the students hadn't got it. They'd kind of said, oh, I'm going to go here and I've got this and I've got my food. And I'm like, well, it's the Coast Guard. It's less, I mean, if you're on the sea, yes, they'd probably want to know if you had food to survive and water to survive for a longer period of time. But for our means, it's more important to know where you are, what your boat looks like, those sorts of things as well. So I was trying to figure out how to review this. And we were kind of at the tail end of geocaching and a bit of orienteering. So we just set up a orienteering course. And so students had to obviously use their mapping skills to navigate and follow the map. And in each orienteering marker, they've got these little triangle-shaped markers that you can hang on trees or wherever you want to hang them. I just stuck a bit of Velcro on the inside. And then I did it like Clue, the game Clue. Myself and Patty Castell talked about making a game out of this a while back, and she's done it with QR codes. So each group of students their goal was to find out who they were rescuing, and I used teachers from my school. And they had to figure out what their boat was, where they'd put their boat into the water. So then I was able to tie in, hey, did you know that we have all these boat landings and launch points in our local area?
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it was neat. The time they left, the time they were supposed to be back, what their boat looked like, all that sort of special thing. But they weren't doing anything that involved the boat or the water, but they were doing two things together. So, I mean, it was simple and it worked, and everyone had to plan their own course out. So they were kind of bringing two things together while we were reviewing content so they can move forward with that. So, I think the more practice people have at doing that, the easier it gets in terms of, okay, I'm done with soccer, but when I was doing soccer, I was talking about risk factors. Now, how could I put risk factors in somewhere else? So again, that learning continues, and that kind of, those connections keep taking place. And
I'm writing that down, because that's, well, we're a PLC, and that's question 4. Like, what do you do when they don't get it?
Yeah.
Right. I love that, question 4, and then just put it in just the content. Find a different way to put. I'm writing that down. That's awesome. I love that, because that happened in my own life. My daughter and I, we were on our paddle boat, and the little the rudder fell off the paddle boat.
Oh no.
So we're way far away from our cottage, and we're like, what are we going to do? And we didn't take our cell phones, because we're in a paddle boat. They're going to get wet and all that stuff, so we don't have a cell phone. So we just jumped in the water, and then we took the paddle boat, we tied it up to somebody's dock on our lake, and we went up there, and we were going to, ask to use their phone to call my husband, because he was back at the cottage. So we didn't know it, but we did not tie a knot very good. And our paddle boat started drifting. And my husband, Marshall, was like panicking because he doesn't know where we are. So see, we needed that, because we called his cell phone, but then he left his cell phone, and then he thought we were dead because our paddle boat's just floating.
You can see the paddle boat drifting with nobody on it.
Yes.
Oops.
And then we were just walking back on the road to go back to our cottage while he was in our boat. He jumped off the boat and was trying to find us in the water. So you could tell the kids that really happens in life. So we had to talk about that. What happens when, we need to have a safety plan, because we didn't have one.
Yeah. I mean, you never want to have to use it, but yeah, definitely. And I know I did the same when I've been geocaching, and, a little bit in hindsight, I'm like, ooh, that's probably not a good idea. Should have done that.
Oh, by myself, and who knows if people know where I am.
My biggest screw up on that was, it was minus, I don't know, 25 or 30. It was freezing. I got my car stuck down a snowmobile trail, which I shouldn't have been on in the first place, but I didn't realize it was a snowmobile trail. And then I realized my phone had no battery. So I thought, that's okay. I have a charger. Nope. I'd left that somewhere else. So I'm thinking, okay, it's freezing cold. You're stuck 3 miles down the snowmobile trail where you shouldn't be, with no cell phone, no coverage, and actually not a whole lot of gas either. Yeah, that was a bad mistake.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we both had that. That's a really good thing.
Don't be like her. Learn.
Live and learn, yes. Husband thinks daughter and wife have drowned off a paddle boat, and they're just walking on the road to go back. So, yes, it has happened to both of us. So, but yes, that's all great stuff. And I've been trying to use Sarah GH's 4-point rubric. I've tried to. I'm just starting that, and because we have to. For our school, we have to read a book. We have a book study for the 15 Fixes by Ken O'Connor. And then everybody studies that, and it's really good. It's a really great book, but then we're going to be in standards-based grading in 2 years. So we have to decide what we're doing. So I've started with Sarah GH's, with using the, kid-friendly and parent-friendly words, and then it's been great putting wow, and not yet, almost there, words that they understand instead of emerging and like our educational lingo.
I think the not yet, those two are going to be the most powerful ones.
Right.
You're not saying no, it's over. It's like, I'm just not there yet, and it's okay. And when kids, I've seen it at the high school, I've seen it at the middle school, and they're like, oh, I'm just not there yet. It's like, exactly, it's fine.
Yes.
Don't worry about it.
Yes, because before, with our 4-point rubric, it would be like, oh, you just didn't do it?
Yeah.
You're done. Hi. And so that has been great using those terms. Not yet, because they say that. Oh, so I just need more practice.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Thank you, darling.
We have a visitor. So
curious as to what's going on here. So
not too much.
No.
Like your eye. Do you have makeup on?
Yes, she has. Yeah, we have a little reindeer eye. And there was someone doing face painting, so the reindeer's about to disappear. But
yes, bye reindeer.
Bye bye. And speaking of Sanders, bye, Crystal.
Bye.
Wait, are you having?
No, I'm not done. Can you close the door?
It's your live chat.
It's everyday life.
It's great, isn't it?
It's like Crystal and Joe's Epic Adventures or whatever.
Yeah. Now the other, again, speaking of standards, here's something that we had. We were working towards standards-based grading as well, and I built something here. Okay, I got this fantastic analogy that one of my colleagues used at one of our trainings. Now, so this is in terms of, okay, there it is.
Oh, Jenga.
Yeah. So and I thought this was such a cool analogy that she came up with, because you know how when you start looking at grade level outcomes and standards, and it's like, I think particularly the lower levels, it's so overwhelming. It's like, how am I going to get everything in? And I've been working on breaking down grade level outcomes into all the little pieces that go into them. So, you might have a grade level outcome that a student's going to, let's say, moves into space or receives a pass in space or gives a leading pass. And then you break it down into, okay, first of all, there's a throwing and there's a catching. Then there's the timing element and all these different things, the different kind of stepping stones in order to meet that grade level outcome. And what she kind of likened it to was a Jenga tower. So if this little block here, I'm going to swing it around again. If this represents your grade level outcome, you might be able to, and I hope I'm not going to collapse this. Okay, you might be able to take out a piece or two here. So maybe this one, I'm cheating here by holding it. So you take some pieces out, but the tower, the overall knowledge tower, still, it's going to work. Woo, it still stays standing. So you don't necessarily have to get every single little piece of everything in order to get enough evidence by the time that student is done that, hey, they've got this. So I think that can help take the pressure. You can help take the pressure off yourself by not thinking you have to do everything, because that's virtually impossible.
It is. We've been working the last 2 years. We have power standards. Mm-hmm. And working on the power standards, and now we're using this thing called Mastery Connect. And so next week we're giving our first common formative assessment on the FIT principle.
Okay.
And so it's really cool. And you could use bubble sheet, but we're not in physical education because we don't want to waste time. And so we're going to be exercising while they, answer the questions. They're going to be moving around the room, a moving, assessment. But then we can plug in, and then we're going to meet together as a middle school PLC team and look to see, like, if one of the people I teach with, Brian or Cindy at the other middle school, so when we get together, if she has like 80% of her kids got this and I have 40, then we can talk, and see, well, what did you do in teaching this concept, the FIT principle, that I can use? So it's really great that we have, we're using the 5 components of fitness, and then we have a common formative assessment for each one. And then we give it within a week of each other. Then we meet, and then we compare, and then we talk about how we can improve our instruction. So it's great. Really great.
You get the best of both worlds then, because that's just it. I mean, none of us has the perfect idea or solution to everything. And that's why, when you're collaborating with people, whether it's in your school or it's on Twitter or Voxer or anything, that's where all those ideas come from, because someone's like, hey, I tried this, and that worked, and this worked. You're like, oh, right, bring it all together, and then, figure out what's going to work for your environment.
That's right. Right. So if you don't have anybody at your school, you could use Twitter or Voxer and say, you know, yeah, I want to work on the fit principle or whatever. And how do you teach it? Yeah, like this summer at Best Practices with Maria, she had so many great ideas that, wow, why didn't I think all those little, wow, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
You know, little things like Jim DeLine with his words that have helped me, and Twitter, and is amazing. Yeah.
I had a really cool one on the Voxcast a few weeks ago. Jorge was interviewing Chris, I'm going to hopefully say his name right, Chris Viles, and he was using Google Forms to basically make a quiz or a review that nobody can fail. And I was like, okay, how does it? Now, and you know, in Google Forms, you can it's like you can create a choose your own adventure type thing. So if you were reviewing some content, and this is something you could set up and have students go to independently, or, you know, revisit in their own time. So you set up a question, and if they got the answer correct, then they move on. If they didn't get it correct, it sends them to a different page, which then gives them the opportunity to review that section of content. There could be a video, there could be some diagrams, then they answer another question or two, and if they get those right, then they rejoin the main quiz, and then they carry on from there. So basically, you've got to get it right in order to keep moving on. So I was like, that's genius.
It is.
So if you've missed a lesson or two, you're struggling with something, and you want a quick review of, okay, what was the correct form? What did I not see in the form that this person didn't do wrong? Okay, I got that question wrong. The next one shows me video. Maybe the video is a bit more explicit in pointing out different things, so the student can say, oh, right, now I see it. Now I can answer this, and I can move on. So it's a bit, you know, kind of a guided learning. I was like, oh, that's powerful.
That is really awesome. Could use that in my health class, you know, too.
I was thinking for health.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good. So
that's all that, you know, like we have to teach so much, you know, and cover so much, and have so many common formative assessments and summative and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, it's always bugs me that, well, a lot of kids aren't ready to move on.
Yes, they still have questions. They're still not sure. So
because we at our school, we have we have something called ELT, extended learning time, and for our RTI.
Yeah.
And but at least since we have this, we get Fridays. So all art, music, computers, etc., FIAD, health, we get to pick the kids we want. At least it's a start, one day a week. So through our common formative assessments, I know, oh, this group of kids needs to work on this concept. And just like last week, I just had that I thought it was a really simple concept, but I had a couple kids and I just took two because they didn't get the concept for some reason of like making their own pedometer step goal, but the goal that they make, they have to be able to achieve. So I thought that was going to be kind of easy, but there was a lot of kids that thought, oh, she wants me to get lots of steps. That wasn't the concept. The concept was, I want you to set a goal for yourself, that you set the goal. So that you achieve the goal. I'm not setting the goal.
Yeah.
It was a light bulb moment for me because I went, oh, they think I want it super high. So they made like 5,000 step goal. I'm like, you're not going to get that in 35 minutes.
No, that's pretty challenging.
So that was great for me too, that something that I thought would be great for them to set, which it is. But then I had a time that I could bring them in and find out, oh, they didn't get why I wanted that. So, yes.
That is nice. I know we have common PLC time right now, but next year there's a committee working on changing the timetable. So we do have extended learning time as well. So we will be able to, with students, which will be very nice.
That's great.
I'm trying to figure out how to do it in I'm starting weight training tomorrow. And I was thinking, the weekend, how I can try and personalize that as much as possible, because, again, I've got students, some of whom who lift regularly, some of whom who've, the weight room is a very scary place for them, and everything in between that. So how do I structure it so they can kind of use their own workouts, but they're still getting all the content knowledge behind it? Because, I could tell them to jump through a hoop and they could jump through a hoop, but they don't know why they're jumping through the hoop. So making sure they can understand the why behind it. And also, right now we've got a beautiful gym and you get to use it. But what if you don't have this beautiful?
Right.
What if you can't get to one? You don't have the funds to get to one. What else can you do? So trying to kind of, again, see if I can add a choose your own adventure, but make sure you cover all these bases type thing along the way. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to do that.
I know there's lots of things for us to figure out. That's like with, again, I think it was the podcast, the Physiology podcast with Adam Metcalf.
Mm-hmm.
And he did an awesome one on sport education. So if you want to know about sport education, Physiology, was that 3.0? No. What was the last one? 2?
3.0, yeah. The Phys Ed Summit, yeah.
Yeah, Phys Ed Summit. And Adam Metcalf did one on sport education, phenomenal. And so I took a lot of ideas from him and I'm putting it into my sport education. And one was that he really has the kids that want to be the job of the coach, involves them more in the, teaching the concepts. Mm-hmm. And so I did that and found out, at first it wasn't working. And then, we just asked the kids what should work. And then again, those little whiteboards. So they went out, I tell them the concept that theirs should cover. And then I should have videotaped it because I was almost crying because it was so amazing. Here's these kids, the coach with the whiteboard with the concept written on there. And then they were teaching their team how to do the concept. And then they're racing and they're like, Miss Scores, this is really hard to teach. How do you do this? And so then we brainstormed, bring them back. Well, their team was practicing. Okay, what worked for you? Oh, I did this. Or what worked with you? And getting that from Adam, it changed everything about sport ed. And not just saying, oh, okay, you're the coach, which I did last year, which was not the good one. And then it just really had them think about how to teach and then bringing them all back together, because that's what he said. You bring them back together, then you have them go out. Then you bring them back together. They all talk and tell what works, put it back out. It's been amazing.
That's something that you're kind of bringing in some jigsaw and cooperative learning there as well.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, this group might be struggling, but this group's said, oh, we tried this and this worked. So they're all, and not only that, that means they've all got ownership in the process, which is huge. Really.
Right. Because, the kids always struggle with that, the concept of, move to open space.
Yeah.
They always struggle with that. And so that was our first thing. I thought, well, let's just start with the hardest thing. So we started with move to open space, and then they come back, oh, this is really hard. And then, somebody would say, oh, I actually they asked me for duct tape. I'm like, we can't put duct tape on the floor, but we have floor tape. And so kids were asking for floor tape, and they're putting little X's on the floor. Oh, this is what open space. And they were using all these tools, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it was amazing. But it was just so great, to hear Adam share that, and then to have, I was not doing that the best way, and then, have them, and it's been really great.
Oh, that's neat. I did my backyard Olympics this year a little bit differently. I could done sport ed with it, but I used Ash Casey did a phenomenal session at the National P Institute on using jigsaw cooperative learning. And what he had, I don't know how many people were in that session, but there was a lot. You were in a team, and then within your team, you gave yourself a letter. So I would have been the A person, you were the B person, and we had a C person and D person. And then all the A's from all the teams got together, and all the B's from all the B teams got together, and each little cohort had a job to do, and then they came back and they brought it back to their team. So,
sorry, that's my daughter calling me.
So I had them do that, but they were learning different backyard games. Within a country, there was one person was responsible for learning spike. One had to do bocce ball. One had to do disc bonk. So, and just to see them teaching each other was just, I made sure they had all the resources. But the other thing that they didn't pick up on, and I'd said to them, here are the rules, but feel free to modify rules if it's going to make it better for your group. And they didn't do that initially. And I said, as long as two countries agree that these are the rules they want to play by, it's okay. As long as safety's not going to be compromised and everyone's included, that's fine. And I asked them afterwards, what did you think? And they're like, oh yeah, they really liked it, because everyone had a voice and everyone was important and everyone got to explain it. And it was just, like you said, it was just so nice to see them shine and take that kind of responsibility, that leadership role. And that's another grade level outcome, taking on a leadership role. Now, often we don't give them the opportunities to do that. So how can they demonstrate being a leader when we don't allow them to be a leader, because we don't create situations where everyone gets to do that? So that was neat. I'm like, oh, I'm so going to be using this one numerous times again in the future.
I know, that was an awesome session with Jigsaw. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah. Anything else exciting, or?
I wrote things down, but now I can't find them. Okay, let's see. I did the Shape America podcast.
You did? I listened to it.
With Colin and Matt Pomeroy on assessment. So that was cool. That's out there with Shape America podcast. Let's see. In health, bring up health thing. I am a character in health. I have Dr. Health, and I did a session at our state convention with Mary Wetland, and it was the best session that I've ever done. One of them.
Really?
We called it Moving Your Health Curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how you walk in the room and you're facing the screen, because you always use some kind of technology. Well, there was no technology, and we turned all the chairs around and we pushed them against the wall because we wanted everybody to move. And so we had 70s music playing, because we were going back in time, and we were not using any technology. It was amazing. And so we shared how we teach health concepts through movement. And it was awesome. And so one of the things I do is I'm Dr. Health, this character. I wear a mad scientist wig, and I have a lab coat that says Dr. Health. And I meet all the kids at the door, and I say, hi, good morning, I'm Dr. Health, and I'm subbing for Mrs. Gorwitz. And they're like, but you are Mrs. Gorwitz. No, Dr. Health, who are you? And they go, Joe. Good to meet you, Joe. Come on in. And they just are like, what the heck is this? Is from the book Teach Like a Pirate. I think we talked about it before. Yeah. With Dave Burgess, wrote that book. It's an amazing book. Using hooks. And that was Dr. Health last week. And we were doing a sugar and a fat laboratory, where they had to first look at all the food labels, but things were covered up, and they had to guess like what was in them, sugar and fat wise. And they were just blown away. And I said, well, Ms. Gorwitz is really good at health, but I'm an expert in this. And they were like, well, can we ask questions of Dr. Health? So it was. So if you've never worn, like, I have hats also. I have an orca hat. And when we talk about environmental health, I wear the orca hat. And so if you've never dressed up or become a character, you should try it. It's really fun.
Actually, you know what I want? I think it was either Dave Carney or Ben Perillo posted this on Voxer, and it was right around Halloween. But one of them had seen a Muscles costume in the shops, and it was an adult one. I was like, oh, I need that costume. I mean, you're going to teach muscles. Can you imagine rocking up in that thing? That'd be awesome. That is on my list of things to try and find, because I would definitely, I mean, I'm probably going to absolutely ridiculous. I don't care. I can deal with that. But yeah, the one thing I did do, and I think I'm going to ham it up a lot more next time. I had an auction last 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah, I saw that on Twitter. That looked cool.
Well, you know, I often do this create a game thing with my students. I'm like, hey, here's your equipment. Now go and create a game. And I thought, hang on a second, I'm making this far too easy. So I said, basically, you know, your warm up was to earn. They could, again, the choice was there. They could complete whatever they wanted, but they would earn money in the warm up, and they had, you know, 5 minutes to earn as much money as they possibly could. Song was done. That was it. No more money. And then I had all these items. I was like, right, first item is, you know, whatever, bag of small bouncy little ball things, you know, who wants it? And they started bidding. And then I did a little bit like Survivor when they've had the auction on that show. I had some mystery items. So they were bidding for something. They had absolutely no idea what they were bidding on. And that sent them over the edge. They were just like, oh, because they that kind of fear of missing out, they kind of were bidding even more for it. And within each group, it was funny how there was normally at least one person who was just wanting to bid all the time, and the rest of the group like, no, hang on, we want this, we want this, we want that. So some groups ended up with lots of equipment, and some only ended up with a few pieces, but they all had something, and then they had to go and create their game, and then again teach all of the other groups their game as well. So that was fun, but the auction bit was hilarious.
That's
so I'm going to have to, again, think of another, just using Monopoly money and putting a little twist on it. I didn't tell them what warm-up activities to do. They could do whatever they wanted, long as they got money for it. So that was, I guess, so I think if I need next time, like I need a proper hammer. I need some sort of a hat or some sort of game show outfit to go with it. So I'm gonna milk that one a bit more in the future. So little thing and a muscles outfit, and I'm golden.
You are. Yeah, I do. Christy Jepson presented several years ago, Tropical Island, and I did that one I think 3 weeks ago in my health class, where I wear a straw hat and I have grass skirt, and then I have pictures of palm trees. And then I tell the kids, I meet them at the door, and they're like, okay, who are you today? I'm like, hey, I'm your vacation guide. I said, here's $39 Monopoly money. It's a weird amount, $39. And I'm like, congratulations, you won a trip to a tropical island. And here's $39. They're like, what's $39 for? I went, you'll find out. And so we start class, and, you know, we start with our learning targets, and then I have projected on the screen. It's really cool because there's a little boat on there. And one of the kids put all this in there. I don't even come up with this stuff. And they're like, oh, the boat should be, we're on the boat. And then on the island, you can see a little picture of a hotel. And they're like, oh, because we're the Hortonville Polar Bears. They're like, oh, you're on Tropical Island, but the hotel's called the Polar Bear Inn. Okay, so I incorporate all this stuff. And then they have 20 minutes in class, and then I give them a list, like with organic food versus non-organic food versus processed food versus if you have, like me, like celiac disease, you're allergic to milk or blah, blah, blah. And they spin the wheel on the Decide Now wheel on the iPad. And so they get something, and one is they have celiac disease like me, so they're allergic to wheat and gluten, but they don't even know what that is. Does this have wheat in it? I don't know, but $39. So then they have to pick and then I have a challenge. Whoever gets closest to $39 gets a prize. And they're killing themselves to try to get to 39. Oh, I'm at 38.22. Oh, I'm at 38.86. But I really want that organic apple because it's important to eat organic. I'm like, oh my God, you know, just have it. So yeah, there's so many little spins on it that you can get them excited, engaged in their learning.
Even I used Jared Robinson's Spin It app the other day.
Oh yeah.
And I think Mike Gray and Ben Pillows already has these great, would you rather do this or that? And it's like a double-sided card, and It's like, no, this one doesn't work for me. I'll do the back side. And then and Mike's like, oh, you could do this with the Spin It app because you enter in the different things. So I, put some things in, and we spun it. I've never seen high schoolers so excited about pressing the button. They're like, me. Oh, they couldn't resist it. And it was the first class I used it with. I think nearly every option was either something and burpees. So no one was doing burpees. They were all doing something else. And the second class, we did actually get one that was like 5 burpees or 10 burpees. Like, there we go. You're not getting away with it this time. They loved it. They're like, we should do this every time. So I'm actually I'm going to ask them to come up with some suggestions of things to add to it as well. So again, give them some more ownership and buy-in. But it's a simple little thing sometimes.
It is. I have a bulletin board in my health class that says what's stuck with you. And then I give them like a Post-it note. And then on the way out, that's their exit slip, what's stuck with them. And I get so many great ideas from them on, well, this was boring. You should do it this way. Oh, that's so much better.
Oh, yeah. Anytime you ask the students, you'll get a few gems in response, that's for sure. So
that is true. Well, wow. This has been awesome. We have not done this in so long.
Well, I'll tell you, we'll have to have maybe a pre-Christmas edition.
We do. Well, and Joe knows this, but not all the people out there. I'm going to be a grandmother for the first time. Yay! In January.
That's
January 31st.
That's going to be one lucky little grandbaby for sure.
I'm so excited. So, and then the teachers from Janesville, they're so funny at our state convention, WHP. They gave me the best book. I should have brought it out here. They go, we saw this book and thought of you. It's called Shake It Up, Grandma. And the grandma's like dancing on the front. And the grandma does all these shake it up things. I'm like, yes, that's me. So,
that's
so excited. So excited. Well, this has been awesome.
Yes. Well, this time we're not, like I said, we're not going to leave it 3 months. We should set a date within the next week or so, and then we'll be set. See how many fun things we can do between now and Christmas break.
Woo! Crazy.
All right.
Let's
end it here.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye.